But tell me, in Pakistan, where crumbling schools and unfair educators are the norm, where millions sit on the floor of the uncrowded schools, or even better, even worse, no schools at all. Tell me, what internet is going to do to us if there is no electricity to power it? If education is your concern, let's start with books, let's start with children, let's classrooms, not a Wi-Fi system. The word, they speak of democracy, right? Freelancers, giving voice to the voiceless, freedom of speech. Yet in the real world, it is just a weapon of control. It's a switch that governments turn on and off at their will whenever they like. They call it a right. They call it a right. But tell me, what kind of a right can be a switch that can be turned off with just a switch? A right that can be throttled, a right that can be manipulated is not a right at all. And let's talk about money. Who pays the bill? Who foots the bill for all this grand internet for all fantasy? In a country where hospital lacks medicine, where power outages, like we saw in the starting, is a daily routine. Our survival, are we really questioning Wi-Fi before clean water? When did our opinions became so rare? My fellow speakers are now to finance layers into their resolution. They will reject it, they will reject all things they have said, they will reject the example, they will reject sentimental argument. And lastly, I can say internet is a privilege and privileges are earned, not demanded. Thank you.
It is preposterous to even consider whether the internet is important or not, because we clearly know during COVID-19, when the internet became the global classroom, students became connected and got their education through internet access. However, millions were left behind because they were not having access to the internet. So tell me, dear opposition, how can the internet access not be important for education when it is crucial in today's age and 21st century? We are competing with the global countries, with developing nations. We are being left behind. This is not just a tool for having, making reels or something. It's a tool for connecting. It's a tool for gaining knowledge. Because students, we have YouTube to learn from the best teachers around the globe. We learn from Khan Academy. We have master classes where freelancers can also promote their jobs. In 2022, Pakistan's freelancers generated $400 million to the economy. However, in 2024, last year, there were over 9,700 hours of internet shutdowns, resulting in the worst financial losses of the world, $1.62 billion. So tell me, can we afford to cut off our internet access? We are arguing whether it's an important human right, and it is. Can we ban internet when we cannot even control, we cannot even develop our nation, our economy, our financial losses? Can we actually afford to bring up our people to the front and to compete with the global leaders of the world? And as for democracy, yes, it does, because banning the internet deletes the human rights. Palestine, for example, the Palestine issue, we have people from USA and Europe supporting Palestine through the internet. So if we cut off that, if we can cut off the voice of the people.
Honorable speakers, esteemed members of the House. The government side has presented an argument that seems convincing on the surface, but upon closer inspection, it falls apart. The proposing party boldly claims that the internet access is essential for progress. But let's talk about our own country. According to the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics 2023, 33% of our population lives below the poverty line. As reported by UNICEF, more than 25 million children are out of school not because they lack the internet, but because they lack basic education facilities. 38% of children under 5 suffer from stunted growth due to malnutrition as reported by World Bank. space is truly free, as the proposition claims. This is not a utopia of unfiltered voices. It is a battleground where governments and corporations dictate what we see, hear, and believe. Palestine, where families vanish irreparable, yet the world's most connected platforms turn silent. If the internet were truly a fundamental right, then why does it disappear the moment it threatens those in power? Honorable Speaker, I refuse to let this House be deceived. We do not have the luxury of debating privileges when our people are fighting for survival. And I reject the privilege that dares to place digital convenience above human survival.
The overly pessimistic opposition party. I would like to point out the fact that the presentation you created is also by the means of communication. Secondly, the internet connection doesn't really require much of electricity, it only requires 24 volts. That's all. And the case is clear. Denying internet access is actually denying progress for your whole country, which nobody wants. The education is digital, the world is remote, the voices are heard online. And it was all done by the means of a single word called the internet. The SDG 4 of the UN reminds us that the quality education is due to the inclusion of digital means, while the SDG 8 of the UN reminds us that the prosperity of the economic growth of your country is dependent on connectivity. And let me give you a great example of connectivity. In the last decade, Pakistani financiers closed $400 million by the means of internet. And this is the statistics of the UN themselves. Thank you.
Worthy Speaker and respected members of this House, we have heard the hollow promises of equality and progress. They talk about human rights, but they yet don't consider even the very definition of a right. A right is survival, a right is fundamental, and a right is basic. The internet should not be considered as a basic human right, as it is a privilege wrapped in entitlement. Even in the West, internet is yet considered as a tool, not as a basic right. Not as a basic right. It is a fallacious argument that internet is the key to freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be very clear about it that a cage with a Wi-Fi signal would still be a cage. So I request the worthy judges to reject this notion not for the contempt of progress but for the respect of real basic human rights. Thank you.
The third resolution is, should tech companies be held responsible for the misuse of their platforms by users? From the government side, IIT, Institute of Space Technology, ISC is now around. Unfortunately, the opposition side is not here. Women University of Jammu and Kashmir could not make it. I request the judges to evaluate the following team based on their argument and style.
The team members are not going to clap, okay? You're not going to instigate others.
Tech companies, tech giants are not just companies. They are the modern custodians of the modern life. So, Honorable Chief Guest and esteemed members of the House, today I stand before you to address a critical issue. Should tech companies be held responsible for the misuse of their platforms by the users? I present to you that tech companies or any modern digital company presents us a very platform that we can use for spreading information, we can use it to connect with people. But let us be very clear that it can lead to 5 critical misuse. The first one is the manipulation of information and data. How can people who are just like see, there is a manipulation of information. People who use the data can manipulate your information that is publicly available. You can see tools like open source intelligence that is publicly available data. People extract it and use it. We have seen the example in America, like the Cambridge Analytica scandal, where the Facebook data was manipulated in elections to undermine the very fabric of the democratic process. In India, for example, WhatsApp was used for spreading all information. That is a misuse of social media platforms. In Pakistan, we have seen many examples that people spread false information, propagate disinformation, and use it for propaganda. That has created very the claims of extremist violence and extremism. So historically, we have seen that many tech companies or any companies have been held responsible under certain laws. But we see that tech companies today, which have the digital tools, are not held responsible for the use. So it's an ethical imperative to hold them responsible for this. Thank you.
The misuse of AI and use of deepfake in generating someone's fake picture. Wait, it does lead to propaganda, okay, but why don't we talk about the effect it has on mental health? What are we going to do with the use of such technology? Is it even leads to suicide? So I mean, is someone's life more important than technology? No, it's not. Of course it's not. The use of hate speech and cyberbullying causes real world problems, specifically spreading disinformation. The companies have failed to take responsibility for the content on their platforms. Can we really trust these companies who actually take the priority of profit over truth? Tech companies failing to take responsibility for the harmful content on their own platforms. Wow. This isn't accountability. I don't call this as accountability. This is simple cowardice. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude the points raised by my fellow debaters, big tech giants have the power and the authority to control and regulate the algorithms that show you the content and to prevent the misuse of their platforms. And I can prove it to you right now. All of us have phones right now. If you open your Instagram, we all know the political situation going on in Gaza. We were seeing a lot of content coming in from Gaza, but I personally experienced this that the content is minimized coming into my feed. And then I realized I went into, if you go into your content preferences in the settings on Instagram, instead Meta released an update, they rolled out an update that actually the automated setting of your content preference on political posts is standard or see less. So it shows you limited content, it shows you nothing. So we can see that they can control the algorithms, they can regulate, but the content is being shown, they can prevent the misuse, they're just choosing not to.
The next resolution is, are traditional gender roles still relevant in modern society? To speak in favor of the topic, I invite Team University of Pakistan Circle. To speak against the topic, I invite Team University of Engineering and Technology, UT Exam.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Fozia from University of Pakistan School. Respected audience, today I am here to present the resolution that is deeply rooted in our social fabric and is difficult to overlook to present today. Are traditional gender roles still relevant to the modern society? Yes, Your Honor. I stand in favor of this perspective. Gender roles are expectations and responsibilities that are assigned to men and women. Men are economic providers and women are nurturers for our family. Dear audience, let's talk about the important point in this topic, that women empowerment. Women are not oppressed in this modern society, neither in traditional gender roles. They are provide opportunities according to their needs. That does not mean that she will neglect her family in this so-called modernization. They will still be the caregiver for her family. Let us an actual example of traditional gender role in modern society. Let me give an example of Queen Elizabeth. She used to cook meal for her husband. It does not mean that she was oppressed. She chose to cook meal for her family. It shows that stability in the modern society. Therefore, I stand firm in my belief that traditional gender roles still relevant to the modern society. Thank you all.
Honorable Chair, let me tell you exactly what a gender is by our definition. A way of expressing gender identity through names, norms, clothing, and pronouns. Today, we reject these notions that traditional gender roles are still relevant in modern societies, because if relevance is measured by progress, equality, and opportunity, then these rigid gender roles are nothing but relics of an outdated past, failing to serve the modern complexities of today's world. It limits individual freedom and freedom of choice. It doesn't give freedom. At its core, it states that traditional gender roles takes us who we are rather than allowing who we want to be. According to the World Economic Forum Global Gender Report at 2023, it highlights that 68% of gender gap has been strictly closed, proving that structural discrimination still exists. In Pakistan, 22% of women are in workforce rather than competing to 78% of men, stating that there is some predefined roles. It tells us why, because they are forced to predefined roles and there is a pressure of domestic responsibility over professional ambition. It reinforces stereotypes. Gender roles are not misconceptions. They are misconceptions, not merit. It clarifies, and according to the United Nations Human Development in 2022, it stated that 86% of men and 90% of women are always holding a one bias of gender discrimination because of that statistical fact. According to the World Economic Forum and the WHO report, suicides are more higher in men because there are unrealistic expectations from men because men are considered they are labeled as professional aggressive leaders and women are labeled as women are taken as aggressive leaders and women are taken as passionate caregivers only according to the International Labour Organization in 2023 at highlighting that only men are considered to be engineers in 88% ratio and women are considered as nurses in 90% ratios considered to men. Are you saying that yes, men are only aggressive leaders, not compassionate givers, and women are not innovative problem solvers? Concluding that we are not talking that tradition is a role. We are talking that traditional gender roles, rigid roles, are still not relevant because they are creating discriminations. Thank you very much.
We have been requested to observe silence, please. Thank you.
I'm Ruchi Hamid from University of Wisconsin. Definitely, my opposition has tried to manipulate the situation by dragging it into women empowerment and gender equality. I want to tell you that women empowerment is something else and traditional gender roles is something else. Let's talk about women empowerment. It is definitely an alignment with traditional gender roles. As we see in our society, women be the corporator, the doctor, engineer, whatever she is, she would be the nurturer of her family. Let's take an example of our mothers. They are definitely the working women, yet they are the nurturer, they are the caregiver of family. And what do you think? And what's your perspective about your father? Isn't he the provider of your family? Isn't he the protector? Isn't he stronger than the women in your house? And the next thing that they have been talking about is gender equality. Let me tell you one thing. The gender equality is something else, and again, the traditional gender role is something else. Traditional gender roles are aligning with gender equity. That means we are assigning tasks that a particular gender is capable to. You cannot force a woman into labor. Definitely you cannot because she is not capable of that. Biologically and physiologically. You are talking about important society, so let me tell you one thing. Boys, the gender reveal includes blue color for the boys and pink for girls yet. What do you think about that? Aren't that things again in the traditional gender? And the next thing is that we talk about the article of University of Pennsylvania that says that the gender roles are assigned in a society and they can be right. Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, the proposition, this group of she said herself she's expecting her father to feed her family and she's expecting her mother to take care of the children. That is the whole thing we are talking about, that we should not expect a specific gender to do a specific thing. So let me take a better picture for you guys. So gentlemen, we live in a sad world. A world where one of the most basics of the rights, the freedom of choice is considered to be a utopian concept. We are living in a world where men are expected to suppress their feelings. We are living in a world where women are considered inferior and incompetent to work among men. A world where only emotions of women are considered valid. We are living in a world where suicide rates among men are 4 times higher than women. It is because of these stereotypical gender roles and expectations of the society. We are living in a world where the shoulders of all men ache by carrying the weight of whole families and generations. Tell me, how many women had to give up their dreams of being a doctor, or engineer, or pilot just because the society expects them that they don't belong to children? Tell me, how many women had to give up their dream of being an artist or a gamer? How many of you guys, the men, give up their dream of being an artist just because the society expects you to feed your family? If your world is not perfect, tell me why education is so scarce among women. Tell me why the women only represent 22% in the political leadership. Tell me why the Going to conclusion, the stereotypes have only caused problems. The women are financially dependent on men. Gentlemen, it is 2025 and the world is changing. We need to be like Sweden. We need to be like Iceland. They have policies of shared parenting. Where they have inclusive schools to challenge the stereotypical roles of genders. Big companies like Google and Microsoft, they are allowing flexible work hours so men can also take care of children and also work at the same time. Even Asian countries like Japan and South Asia, they have policies where they promote that men are also act as child caretakers. So ladies and gentlemen, the world is changing. You either grow together or you grow apart. Thank you very much.
My esteemed opponent, you were speaking of equality. Equality, it is absolutely right. Equality is important in our society. But equality doesn't mean sadness. Equality doesn't mean erasing differences between genders. Traditional gender roles provide complementary contribution, time-tested foundation for families and societies rather than imposing rigidity. But your statement supporting to impose rigidity in our society, this is justice? Absolutely not. You are supporting imposing rigidity in our society. This is absolutely injustice. I am here to pass the resolution which is given by the government. Our second speaker demonstrated how these roles are outdated, destructive, and impractical in our society, in our modern society. So I strongly urge you to pass the resolution and reform the relevance of traditional gender roles in modern society. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the last speaker of today's debate, I will resolve this debate. So, first of all, let me put forward this. A person born without legs is condemned to a life of wheelchair. A person born black is condemned to a life of racism. A person born woman, she is condemned to a life in kitchen and oppression. This is what our society has done. It has created cages instead of choices for us. Our government does not understand what the word gender even means. The gender is not just a sexual orientation. It is also the expectation of the society that goes along with it. That is the true definition of gender as given by the first speaker. So if you are finally engaged in the question of the expectation of the society, how are you talking about gender itself? Illogical, and it's completely apparent where the motion lies. So with this, I rest my case. Thank you.
Moving on, the next resolution is, should voting be mandatory to increase political participation? On the government side, I invite Merit Agriculture University on opinion.
Should voting be? हाँ जी.
From the opposition side, I invite Team Guidance University.
H-O-P-E. Take 4 letters out of hope and you'll see the deadliest. The deadliest that will darken the souls and chop the tongues. For they're not a single voice, but a million voices. This voice here is about to tell you the mortal dangers. That if voting is not declared mandatory, then the political parties will become victims of families that have found them. For a handful of